my Patreon's got some great shit on there. But you can also support me for free by, making sure everyone you know also knows who I am. Share my videos, get me some new fans, that helps too. Or, if you just want to keep me to yourself, there's always patreon.com/doseofbuckley. During the pandemic, one of the hardest hit industries has been restaurants. Despite the fact that there have been studies proving that an infected person sitting at a table in a restaurant can result in the spread of COVID through the entire building via the ventilation system and infect people from 15 feet away in as little as 5 minutes, restaurants feel like they're the scapegoats whenever they end up being closed as part of the lockdown measures, with owners saying things like, "Oh, so it's safe to pack hundreds of people in a Walmart, but I can't have people sit in my restaurant?" Which, I totally get how that looks bad. And I'm not up for defending Walmart either. I think they should have to barricade everything non-essential as well. Doesn't make sense for a small hobby shop to have to close, while Walmart can leave the fucking Lego aisle open. But there's definitely a difference between wearing a mask and getting in and out of a Walmart in 15 to 20 minutes compared to sitting in a restaurant for an hour and a half breathing all over each other while a waiter goes from table to table. And while I feel bad for restaurant employees, I hate to see these people have their hours cut back or their jobs lost. Restaurant owners are something else entirely. First off, restaurants are the only industry where they have their own separate minimum wage laws, at least in the US and Canada. And they're fucking insane. In the US, an employee that receives $30 or more in tips a month has a minimum federal wage of $2.13 per hour. $2.13. That's how much restaurant owners are legally required to pay an employee. In some states, they have increased this, but there are still 42 states that have a lower minimum wage for servers and bartenders than the federal minimum wage. Now, there is a law that says that if an employee doesn't get enough tips to actually make the federal minimum wage, the restaurant has to pay up to compensate. But if an employee isn't getting enough tips, guess how long they'll probably still have a job. I guarantee you that a restaurant owner is not going to top them up for very long. So, why is this? Well, because restaurant owners cry, "Oh, we have such thin margins." Denny's is charging $13 here for 2 fucking eggs and a couple of scraps of meat, and literally $1 per bacon slice. At a bar, it's $8 for an ounce of Jack Daniels and 10 cents of cola. You're making $300 on a $48 bottle of booze retail. Yeah, there's just no profit, huh? And I'd have to fucking tip on that. And as a society, we've bought into this whole tipping bullshit like it's our sworn fucking duty. They've got us playing each other like fucking fiddles on this one. Now, before I get called Mr. Pink here, I tip when I go out, okay? But as a society, we shame the piss out of people who don't, or who tip low. And that percentage has gone up over the years. Decades ago, 10% was fine. Then it was 15%. Now, 15% is like considered the default. If you tip 15%, it's like you're doing so begrudgingly. The service wasn't great. It was fine, I guess. I could live with it. Here's 15%, whatever. And now you're considered a cheapskate if you're not tipping like 20 or even 25%. So, I'm supposed to actually spend about $16 for those eggs or $10 for the drink. Because what, are you gonna ask for change from a 10? Don't be cheap, right? But seriously, if you don't believe me, start a conversation on social media about tipping and be like, "Yeah, I don't tip," or "I tip like 5%, that's good enough," and just watch yourself get shit on. But why? Why hasn't the conversation turned to, restaurant owners should pay their employees, we shouldn't be required to pay them? Because restaurant owners will cry, "Oh, my profits are too low. I'd have to increase the food prices anyway, so either way you'd be paying that much." So either way, it's $16 eggs, motherfuckers. And then, these pricks have the audacity to complain about Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever, profiting off them during the pandemic. So if you haven't heard this one, apparently the apps take about 30% from each order. The Premier of Ontario, like a governor in the US, has gone on record saying that these delivery app companies need to do their part and reduce commissions. On top of that, restaurants who use them are like, "Show your support by calling us directly instead of using an app, and come pick up your own food." So hold the fuck on a second. When times were good, You had no problem with outsourcing your delivery to a company instead of hiring your own drivers and creating actual employment instead of getting people to work in the fucking gig economy. But now it's too much? The apps exist because restaurants didn't have their own drivers, because you wouldn't hire them. And if you paid a delivery driver, say $15 an hour, to deliver $100 worth of food every hour, you'd only be paying 15% on deliveries. And are you going to give me a discount for coming and getting my own food? Probably not. So get the fuck out of here with that shit. Because again, who am I showing support to by doing this? The owners, not the employees. And the owners, man, it always seems like it's a special kind of person who gets into owning restaurants and bars. Here in Canada, maybe you heard about the guy in Toronto who got arrested after violating COVID restrictions over and over, playing Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name of when the cops arrived to shut him down. At least this time the song was being used as an anti-police song, I guess, so they're getting closer to using it right. Anyway, he got arrested for continuing to open his restaurant to indoor dining after the police shut him down, I think, like twice. And, oh yeah, his restaurant was unlicensed. One of his locations had no license for 4 years. And we got a guy here in London who keeps changing his sign, calling everyone socialist, Marxist little sheep. And the government are the elitist, commie, evil empire because of our restrictions. By the way, our current provincial government is run by the Conservatives. They're the ones who currently have us on lockdown, not the liberal Canadian government. Meanwhile, someone discovered that this same business was signed up for a program here in Canada that pays 75% of an employee's wages for companies that continue to keep employees hired but have lost revenue during COVID. Using taxpayer money to pay your employees instead of doing it yourself. There's a term for when taxpayers fund something instead of an individual, but I just can't seem to remember what it's called. Maybe one of these signs would jog my memory. Now I'm sure someone's gonna say, this is such an anti-capitalist rant, I can't believe Buckley's gone full leftist. Have I? Because I thought the left were the elites. That guy with the sign certainly seems to think so anyway. The left are the ones truly out of touch with real society, while the right is all about the common man and all that. To me, restaurants feel like such an elitist little dream world. Any restaurant, even some little greasy spoon diner. You sit down at a table, and a person dotes over you, and they have to be nice no matter how much of a goof you are. You know your fucking stupid dad jokes. How come they call you the waiter when I'm the one waiting? And they gotta laugh along with you. Or your dumb little dietary restrictions and what you like and don't like. Oh, is there onion in that? I'm allergic to certain spices. Can you tell me what's used on the jerk chicken? What do you have that's gluten-free? Can I get that salad with dressing on the side? And then an entire team of people go to work to serve you. Someone cooks your food, and you get to tell them exactly how you like it. Oh, I want my steak somewhere between medium and medium rare, and if it's not perfect, I'll send it back. And then someone goes from the kitchen to bring it to you and put it on the table in front of you. And then comes back in a minute to go, oh, is everything okay with your food? Is it to your satisfaction? Did we do a good job, sir and madam? I'd be ever so devastated if you didn't find this ever so delicious. And when it's all over, someone else comes and picks up all your dirty dishes that you just dropped your gross napkin on that you wiped your dirty mouth with, and then someone else cleans them for you. Get the fuck out of here. If people from the 1500s could see the working class now, we'd all look like fucking kings and queens compared to them. So, to make it clear, I don't want anyone to lose their livelihoods. Well, maybe the guy with the signs. But it's hard to feel bad for restaurant owners when you had it so good in the good times, and so many of you are just severe assholes. Ask anyone who's worked at a restaurant. They'll have at least one dickhead owner story. You don't have to pay your employees shit. When they ask for a raise, you tell them, you want a raise? Take more shifts. Threaten to fire them if they miss shifts, effectively forcing them to work when they're sick, which, good call creating that culture. Complain about low margins while some of them drive around in expensive cars. You can charge whatever the fuck you want when the price of a meal for 2 people would buy a person like 3 days worth of groceries, a week or two's worth if it's a fancy restaurant. And now we need to support you like you're a fucking World Vision kid? So restaurants, if you survive until when things do go back to normal, You better kiss your customers' asses. I want every owner out on their fucking hands and knees for like 2 months, bowing and thanking everyone who walks in. Then, you can go back to charging them $8 a beer and complaining about how tough it is to make money in this industry.